The quickness of the disaster here caught the communities and officials off guard. This is the district of Buner in northern Pakistan. It is one of dozens of villages that were hit so suddenly and so heavily that people had no time to evacuate. And many of those who survived saw their loved ones and their homes swept away in front of their eyes.
The children were scared when the water washed away the walls of our house. The area around was underwater and all our fields were gone.
Nearby, this is the district of Sawabi. This is trail left behind by a flash flood that inundated this village in seconds.
The flood took everything. Livestock, belongings, appliances like washing machines, nothing's left. We're grateful to be alive, but our home is completely destroyed.
Scientists say these sudden and intense weather events are a consequence of climate change.
In Pakistan, rising temperatures are making air more moist, which holds more water. When it moves upward, it leads to a heavy downpours. Recently, we have seen a number of cloud bursts in Pakistan's north, which shows that the rain-bearing clouds are moving to a higher parts of the country.
Pakistan's vulnerabilities are becoming evident elsewhere in the country. Karachi, Pakistan's economic hub with more than 20 million people, was paralyzed this week. Lives lost here too. These are the most devastating floods since 2022, when monsoon rain submerged a third of the country. The government has been campaigning for more climate financing from the international community. But critics say the Pakistani state could have taken more proactive actions. An effective early warning system could have saved lives. Officials argue nothing could have prepared the country for what was unleashed on Pakistan, a country that produces less than 1% of global greenhouse gases. Mighty disasters are forcing the country to reckon with a new reality, more intense weather, and death and destruction.
For more on the situation in Pakistan, we can bring in our reporter, Beenish Javed. She's been following this now since the beginning. Beenish, you've been speaking now with journalists in Pakistan on the ground who've been telling you what the situation is there. What have they been telling you?
So, Terry, journalists have told me that they see a lot of traumatized people, because people have lost their loved ones. For example, one journalist told me that he spoke to a father who said that he was able to save his 2 sons, but then he saw 2 sons swept away by flood. So this is not like one story. There are many stories like these. So people are completely traumatized by the shock of what has happened to them suddenly. But then it's not only the shock or the loss of the loved ones. They have lost their homes, their livelihoods, their crops. And what people are describing is that they saw these flash floods coming with big rocks, with fallen trees, with thick mud, and within seconds, they hit these floods and completely smashed the houses and erased the villages. So people did not even have time to evacuate. If they were in the vicinity or if they were inside their houses, many of them lost their lives.
So this is catastrophic flooding. And the impact on human lives, as you've just described, is enormous. People there's a great deal of suffering going on there. Criticism has been leveled at the government for not doing enough to help people in this situation. What's your take on that?
So journalists who have traveled to all of these remote areas, they say they don't see active government machinery helping people. And they saw that people themselves are now clearing the debris or cleaning their houses, cleaning the streets themselves. Now, there are some areas where access is easy. So local organizations, NGOs, welfare organizations, people from neighboring villages, they have come to help people. But then there are also areas where it's very difficult to reach often you have to hike to these mountainous villages, small villages, and there people are still very vulnerable and need basic necessities. So government, I would say that the disaster or the magnitude of the disaster is quite big, but still there could be more that the government do. And journalists say the local politicians, local officials, people say that they came, they took pictures, and then went away and left the communities vulnerable on their own.
Now, extreme weather events around the world, all kinds of extreme weather events are becoming more and more common, affecting countries, many countries, as human-induced climate change takes hold and unfolds. Why is Pakistan having such, at least apparently, such difficulty adapting to these changes?
No, it's absolutely true. Pakistan is having huge challenges in adapting to these effects of climate change, and it's also because there is lack of political will. There is also lack of awareness. Climate change or adaptation and resilience in infrastructure should be integrated into Pakistan's national policy, because it is happening every other year. So it's not something that the governments are not aware of. Many of these areas are high-risk areas, but still people are allowed to build homes near river beds to vulnerable places. And there is a lot that government can do. It's not that, for example, region country, if we look like the region, Bangladesh has this approach or this policy integrated into their national policy, living with floods. So, for example, they have built shelters for local communities. When people are alerted, then people are able to run towards those shelters and are able to save their lives. This is what we see in Pakistan, that communities are still very vulnerable, and when a disaster hit, the human loss or the loss of lives is usually huge. So there is something that the government can do, but also there's a lot of responsibility, I would say, on the international community, the rich, industrialized nations, Western nations that are emitting greenhouse gas emissions. If you speak to experts in Pakistan, officials in Pakistan, they would say that unless these global greenhouse gas emissions are not drastically reduced, these kind of disasters will continue to happen, but they will not only stick to Pakistan. Disasters know no boundaries, and other countries will also be impacted.
Beenish, thank you very much. DW's Beenish Javed. Let's get more on this now from Zofeen Ebrahim. She's a freelance journalist based in Karachi who specializes in development issues, including climate change. Thanks for being with us. Zofeen, you're in Karachi. What's the situation there right now?
Thank you very much, and a very good morning. As your reporter said, the city stands paralyzed. As you showed, the streets were flooded, the people were stranded for hours on roads. And it's a very stifling weather right now, and a lot of the people have remained without electricity for over 36 hours. And I'm not exaggerating. This is what it is like in Karachi, and it is not the first time. It is you may call it unprecedented, but it happens every time it rains in Karachi and the city comes to a standstill.
Now, Karachi's mayor says that the rain has overwhelmed Karachi's infrastructure. What more can you tell us about that?
You know, I would put it to very weak governance, bad planning, and unchecked growth. And this has been happening. It's not like, this year. It has been there for years and years and years. The drainage system has collapsed. We've been told there encroachments are there. And even when the encroachments were removed after the 2022 super floods, and we were told that, okay, this is, the drains are better. Look what you see. That's all shows that nothing really has happened.
You seem to be among the critics that say the Pakistani state should have been doing more ahead of time to prevent some of the destruction and loss of life. What needs to be done to adapt? What can be done to adapt to extreme weather events like this?
For Karachi, I would say that we need, as I said, we need the political will to put the city in order. We need a proper solid waste management plan. We need water. We need a sewage system. We need land management. And if we put and all of these are intertwined, but unless we do make difficult decisions, we cannot have our old city back.
Now, remote communities in Pakistan, I understand, have been hit especially hard by the extreme weather. We were reporting on that already earlier this week. How are people in those communities coping?
It's really sad to see how, they probably had nothing to do with what is happening to them. It's really tragic. But again, what I would say is that what is happening in Karachi is what is happening there. We don't have the local governance. We don't have the local government which can which are answerable to people and which understand people's problems. So unless we have a local government there, like we don't have here in Karachi, we will not resolve this issue.
Zofeen, thanks for speaking with us. That was Zofeen Ebrahim in Karachi.
Thank you.
For more, let's bring in Zulfiqar Kunbhar, a journalist based in Karachi. Zulfiqar, parts of Karachi where you are submerged by floodwaters. How are people there coping?
Thank you, David, for taking me to the show. So it's been 3 years after the climate change-led devastating floods after the 2022 floods. Pakistan is once again making the global headlines in 2025 due to the monsoon, which has brought the havoc across the country. Since June 26, heavy monsoon rains and flash floods have caused around 750 deaths and 970 or maybe 1,000 injuries, and some people are even missing. The rains have damaged or destroyed over 2,400 houses. More than 1,000 livestock have been also, it has been lost. The difference between 2022 floods and the 2022 and the 2022, Pakistan was the Pakistan southern areas, the lower Pakistan were hit, but in 2025 it is the top areas, the northern mountainous areas of Gilgit, Baltistan, the Kashmir, and the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa especially, it has been badly affected. There have been, cases of gloves, the landsliding, the flash floods, and the cloud bursts. No national emergency have been declared. However, in the pockets, the provincial governments are, they have declared the emergencies in the pockets. I'm right now in Karachi, the coastal area of Karachi. Karachi is the least severe hit by the monsoon and the urban floods in this season. It is the latest one. The latest spell of monsoon that hit Karachi on August 19. On Tuesday, the city received around 180 to 200 millimeters of rains in 12 hours. Some areas have...
Zulfiqar, scientists are saying that this is just the result of climate change, that the monsoons are getting so much worse, or could there be other factors here?
Scientists are attributing recent, devastating floods in Pakistan to climate change, but they also highlighted the role of the governance and the poor infrastructure. Like city mayor, he also acknowledged yesterday that city has the capacity of drainage of 40 millimeter, but city receive around 5 times more than the city's actual capacity. So yes, there has been widespread criticism, especially on the social media, about the capacity and about the capacity, especially and then the climate research. Some climate research suggests that monsoon has intensified rainfall in Pakistan, making maybe 10 to 15 heavier rains than it would have been in the cooler climate. So yes, there have been some questions on the poor infrastructure, the government's failures, and it's also about the capacity. David.
Zulfiqar Kunbhar, thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there. Zulfiqar Kunbhar in Karachi.